Hello, I'm inside today. It's not very nice out at all. So I'm just hauling some of the old tomato plants that are upstairs in my bedroom out. I'm taking two out for now. I'll leave a few, and I'm leaving the hot Thai chili peppers up there because they're still, and a jalapeno, I think, because they're still producing quite well for me, even though they're old also. But these, it's time to go. I'm just dumping the whole plant in an area that could use a bit more dirt and let them compost down over the winter. I'll give the remaining plants a water, and I'm just harvesting some of the peppers that are ripe. That's my hot Thai chili and a couple of jalapeno, and I found a tomato also. Now this plant in the living room is still going strong and looking healthy. I don't know how they're huge plants in this same pot of soil, but they're hanging in, so I'm just an incredible amount of peppers I've gotten from these. They're just everywhere, and we're using them every day, and I'm freezing some and pickling some, and they're lovely. This is a Pathfinder, I think it is. And then I have the Corno de Toro. So I've only gotten two from this. This is the third, but I see that they're still coming here. It was late and there's blooms on them now. So yeah, we're going to leave this one for now. So there's a nice little harvest from today. Now it's a cold and wet. It's been raining on and off all day, a very windy day outside. So aside from running in and out now and then, I can't really film out there. So I'm putting around. I've done my little indoor harvest, and I do need to get a couple of things outside. I'm just stirring, by the way, my apple scrap cider vinegar. I do it every 2 days. But I check my tomatoes at this point pretty much every day to see if there's any with a blush. When it's this cold and miserable out, it makes it all that much more urgent to get them in. So I am trying to push it. I don't see frost per se out there, so as soon as they have a blush, I'm bringing them in every day. And then I wanted to get some of my 1,000 head kale. I gathered quite a bit the other day. Was it yesterday or the day before? The day before. But what I ended up doing, I was pulling it out last night to make a to blanch for freezing, chop and blanch. And I decided it looked so good to make the Portuguese kale soup, the caldo verde, because the 1,000 head kale is a thicker kale. It's more like a collard, but it lends itself really well to the Portuguese kale soup. And I had chorizo in my fridge, so that all worked. But now I'm going to go back outside and get some more because I do want it frozen. It chopped and blanched really works well for a soup like this throughout the winter. So I'm going to get outside and grab a bit more of that in the cold, but maybe I'll just run out and show you what I get because it's too windy for me to film. So I'll just put these here. I look at them every 2 days to stir. September 25th, September 19th. So this one in a few days will hit the 2-week mark, I believe, at which time I'll strain this and then let the vinegar continue on till it gets for another 4 weeks till it gets to the flavor that I'm looking for. So every 2 days I give them a stir. This 1,000 head kale sure is a provider for me. The dinosaur kales and the like magic kales, those kind of things, I have years where they do well and years where they don't, but this just took everything the weather threw at it, heat and cold. So really pleased with this kale. And at the end of the day, it is about always feeding us, being self-sufficient, And what a great food this is. It is so windy out. Ugh. Cold and yucky. So there's some iffy ends here. I'll just rip those off and give them a good wash up, a good soak to fluff them up a bit. And I'll combine those with what I already harvested that I hadn't eaten. But it's a beautiful, 1,000 head is a great substitute for me. I can't grow perennial kale, which is unfortunate. I love my perennial vegetables because they're so, they're stress-free, money-free, you know, come back year after year. But I can't do that with kale here in my climate. But this is a really hardy one, and they say it has a tendency to want to be a perennial, whatever that means. It's not a perennial though. Maybe some climates it would be. But they're big, huge leaves and quite tough. Again, really good for those kale soups, either the Italian or the Portuguese or there's many of them. And I will chop them, sliver them, and then sideways again. So I really chop them fine because it's such a tough kale. I have other kale outside, but this particular one being so hardy, it likes the cold. So I'm going to see, this is the first time growing this, and I don't know how, you know, hardy it will be through the cooler months, but I suspect it'll be quite good and carry on a long time for me. But right now, while I can get outside and gather, I am trying to get my processing done inside. Tomatoes, as I mentioned, where can I put these? Anything with a blush. So I was out yesterday, and today they've got enough blush for me to pick. And I'm also noticing with all the heavy winds we're having that some are, I'm finding the odd one dropped on the ground, and I don't want that either. But the yellow ones are beautiful. They really grew well for me, and what a great size a lot of these are. Look, beautiful. So I'll put those with my other tomatoes, and as they ripen, we eat them, or I freeze those whole for future use. My onions are drying nicely. I'm getting through them. It may not look like it here, but I am. So as daily, actually, as they dry, I will, well, this one's too small to do anything with, but as they dry, and I make sure that the tops right there are no longer any moisture in them. So as they dry, I bring them out to my kitchen table. So then I bring them out here. This is like my assembly line. And I just make sure 100% that there's no, yeah, this one still feels just a bit green right there. So they're going to sit there for another day. And I'll check. And so on goes my processing of the onions. And then I bring them in here. I've shown you before. And string them bit by bit. But what else have I got to do in the evening? Seriously. I continue to string these red peppers as I harvest them from upstairs. There's also a few outside, but I've probably only gotten 4 peppers from outside, whereas my indoor peppers do fabulous, really well. I must say, my tomatoes did okay this year. Certainly the Tiny Tims always do well, but I think I'll try a different variety than, what did I have? Scotia upstairs. And a Manitoba, I think. Not the best. They could have been better. Now, I always leave some here because I use them in my cooking. My son loves these ones. They're really hot, really hot. Make the best red pepper flakes. fruity tasting. I've mentioned this, I know. Put that in my pantry, keep hanging, and keep on picking them. These ones are almost dry. These ones have a way to go. And then these ones are very new, but there's no going back for me. I've only started making my own red pepper flakes, which I use a lot in cooking. Probably 2 years ago I started this, maybe 3. No going back. Absolutely love them. Such a better product. Well, I'll wash these up. I have my job for the evening, blanching this kale for the freezer. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. We'll see you soon.